A December chill clung to the glass of the lecture hall. Snowflakes melted on the panes, blurring the Warsaw skyline. Inside, the air was warm, thick, with academic theory. Michał Kowalski stood at the podium, a silhouette against the city. He spoke of markets, of ethics, of invisible hands. His voice was a low hum, a calibrated instrument of power. In the back row, Anna Nowak watched him, her hands clenched. He was 35, an architect of financial empires. She was 28, a cartographer of ruin. Her world was a small flat in Praga, a district of ghosts. His was this view, this power, this seamless dark suit. He controlled a significant portion of the city's premium real estate. Tonight he felt like a king surveying his domain. Anna felt like an assassin waiting for the perfect moment. His words about corporate responsibility tasted like ash in her mouth. He spoke of balance while his company had created only chaos. The lecture ended to a ripple of polite applause. Students gathered around him, eager for a moment of his time. Anna waited her patience, a cold, hard stone in her chest. Love, for some, is a train ticket to a shared destination. For Anna, vengeance was a one-way ticket into a storm. She remembered her father's hands stained with grease and failure. He had been a builder, a man who believed in foundations. Piotr Wojcik, Michał's partner, had shattered those foundations. Piotr's company, a subsidiary of Michał's empire, bled him dry. It was a slow, methodical execution by 1,000 legal cuts. Her father's suicide note was just 2 words. "I'm sorry." Now Michał stood before her, the handsome face of that empire. The crowd thinned, leaving him standing by the panoramic window. She approached her steps, silent on the polished floor. Her reflection in the glass was a pale ghost beside his solid form. "Mr. Kowalski, your speech was very inspiring." He turned his gray eyes, assessing her in a fraction of a second. She wore a simple black coat bought from a second-hand shop. Her dark hair was pulled back, revealing a face of sharp angles. There was an intensity in her gaze that startled him. It was not the adoration he was used to, nor the envy. It was the cold, clear focus of a hunter. "Thank you, I'm glad you found it so." He extended a hand, a gesture of polite dismissal. "Anna Nowak. I work for a foundation helping families in crisis." She ignored his hand, her voice steady and low. "Families often destroyed by men like you." Surprise flickered in his eyes, quickly masked. Most people tried to flatter him. She had thrown a grenade. This was new, this was interesting. "That's a bold accusation, Ms. Nowak." "Is it my father?" was Stefan Nowak. Recognition dawned on his face, a shadow of memory. Nowak Construction, yes, a tragic case from years ago. Tragic doesn't begin to cover it, Mr. Kowalski. He saw the raw grief behind her anger, a wound that never closed. Silence for a moment was like the rain on a tin roof. It was just 2 people in a room and the ghosts of a dozen more. "I am not the man you think I am." Her laugh was a short, bitter sound. "Then who are you, a man trapped in a machine of his own making?" The confession was so unexpected it disarmed her. He looked tired, the perfect facade cracking for a second. This city, this country was rebuilt from the ruins of history. Families passed down stories of survival, of loss, of resilience. Anna's heritage was a legacy of a single brutal injustice. "What do you want from me, Anna?" "Your honesty for a start." He studied her, a puzzle he hadn't known existed. She was a book written in a forgotten language. And Michał had always loved breaking codes. "Meet me tomorrow, there is something you need to see." He gave her an address, not a restaurant, not a bar. It was his private library, a sanctuary of stone and paper. She left without another word, a question mark in the night. Michał watched her go, the scent of rain and defiance lingering. For the first time in years, he felt a tremor of fear, and a spark of something that felt dangerously like hope. Asterisk, asterisk, first look, asterisk, asterisk. The library was a cathedral of silence in his Wilano home. Sunlight streamed through a skylight, illuminating dust motes. They danced like tiny spirits in the hallowed air. Anna stood surrounded by 10,000 books, a forest of knowledge. The smell was of old paper, leather, and lemon polish. It was a world away from the damp chill of her apartment. Michał watched her from the doorway, holding 2 cups of tea. He had dismissed his staff for the day, a rare breach of protocol. This conversation required no witnesses. She turned her green eyes wary, searching for the trap. He gestured to a pair of worn leather armchairs. Please sit down." The request felt more like a command. She remained standing, a soldier on enemy ground. "You said you had something to show me." He placed the cups on a heavy oak table. "First, I want to tell you about my father." The shift in topic was another move in a game she didn't understand. He was a professor of economics, a man of principles. He believed the market could be a force for good. He taught me that behind every number is a human life. Anna's skepticism was a physical shield, a lesson you seem to have forgotten. He winced, the barb hitting its mark. "No, a lesson I learned was brutally naive." He walked over to a steel safe hidden behind a tapestry. He spun the dial, the soft clicks echoing in the quiet. "The world doesn't reward good men, Anna. It chews them up and spits them out. My father died of cancer, drowning in medical debt. The corporations he admired picked his legacy clean. I learned then that you are either a predator or you are prey." He pulled out a thick black ledger. "And I chose to become a predator." He placed the book on the table between them. "This," he said, "is why I am trapped." Anna opened it, her fingers tracing the neat columns of names. Dates, transactions, coded references to offshore accounts. It was a meticulous record of corruption, bribery, and extortion. A detailed map of Pyotr Wojciech's crimes. "I've been gathering this for 3 years." "Why? You're his partner? You benefited." "Because he is a cancer in my company in this city. He is the man my father warned me about. But he is clever, he has insulated himself perfectly. Any move I make against him could destroy the entire company. It would ruin thousands of employees, innocent people. So you do nothing, you let him continue." His silence was like the deep, cold water of a well. It held unspoken depths of frustration and self-loathing. "I have been waiting for a weapon, a key." His gaze met hers, intense and unwavering. "And then you walked into my lecture hall. What are you proposing, my chow?" "A marriage of convenience, an alliance." The words hung in the air, absurd and terrifying. "You want to marry me?" Anna felt a dizzying sense of falling. "Pyotr is suspicious of everyone, but he has a blind spot. He underestimates women, sees them as trophies, distractions. As my wife, you would have access no one else has. You could get close to him, observe him, find the one mistake, the one piece of evidence I need that won't bring us all down." "This is insane." "Is it more insane than living with this rage inside you?" He saw the truth of her life in a single glance. The late-night arguments with herself, the endless replaying of the past. Messenger notifications from her sister Katarzyna full of worry. Anna's life had become a feedback loop of grief. "What do I get out of this arrangement?" "Your revenge," he said softly. "A chance to destroy the man who destroyed your father. Publicly and with my full resources behind you." She looked at the ledger, then at him. Trust felt like a phantom limb, an ache for something long gone. He was asking her to step into the lion's den. But she had been living with lions in her head for years. This was a chance to finally let them out. "One condition," she said, her voice regaining its strength. "My sister Katarzyna must be protected, kept out of this entirely." He nodded without hesitation. "She will have my protection, I give you my word." The deal was sealed, not with a handshake but with a shared look. It was a pact forged in loss and a desperate need for justice. Anna looked around the library at the silent, watching books. She was about to write the most dangerous chapter of her life. Her heart hammered against her ribs, a frantic drumbeat of fear and exhilaration. She was stepping through a one-way door. Behind her was the quiet ruin of her past. Ahead, a glittering, treacherous future. "All right, Mr. Kowalski, you have yourself a bride." The silence that followed was heavier than any words. It was the quiet before the storm. Asterisk, asterisk, growing flame, asterisk, asterisk. The wedding was a masterpiece of cold corporate elegance, held in a glass atrium overlooking the Vistula River. 300 guests drank champagne that cost more than Anna's rent. She wore a simple silk dress, a stark white island in a sea of jewels. Her smile was a carefully constructed mask practiced for hours. Michał stood beside her, his hand a warm, steady presence on her back. To the world, they were a power couple, a perfect merger. In reality, they were two spies about to infiltrate enemy territory. Pyotr Wojciech approached them, his smile as brilliant as a shark's. "Congratulations, Michał, my friend." His eyes, however, were on Anna, dissecting her. "She is even more beautiful than they say." He took her hand, his touch lingering a moment too long. The texture of his skin felt like dry, brittle paper. Anna's training from the past weeks kicked in. Keep it simple, be polite, be utterly forgettable. Thank you, Mr. Wojcik, it's a pleasure to meet you. The pleasure is all mine, Mrs. Kowalska. He said her new name with a subtle, mocking emphasis. A message was being sent, a territorial claim. Michał's hand tightened on her back, a silent warning. Later, Anna danced with Piotr, a required formality. He held her too close, his breath smelling of whiskey and cigars. Your husband is a lucky man, he murmured. But a man with many secrets, I imagine. The question was a probe, a delicate insertion of a needle. Aren't all successful men, she replied lightly. Her heart felt like a trapped bird beating against her ribs. This was the bigger picture, the chess game she was now part of. It stretched back through years of Poland's turbulent economic transformation. Men like Piotr were the new oligarchs born from chaos. He let her go, his eyes holding a glint of something unreadable. You are an intelligent woman, Anna, be careful. The warning was a threat wrapped in a compliment. Living in the Wilanow mansion was like living in a museum. Every surface was polished, every object placed with precision. It was a home designed to be admired, not lived in. Their marital bedroom had 2 separate dressing rooms. They maintained the illusion of a couple but slept in different wings. Late one night she found him in the library staring at a map. It was an old pre-war map of Warsaw, a city that no longer existed. My grandfather was an architect, he said without turning. He helped rebuild this city after it was turned to dust. He believed in creating spaces that brought people together. A knot of unspoken emotion tightened in his voice. And I build glass towers that keep them apart. Anna came and stood beside him, their shoulders almost touching. The scent of her hair was a faint floral note in the dusty air. You can change what you build. Can I? Or is the foundation already rotten? The question hung between them, deeply personal. They were talking about buildings, but also about their own lives. Her own foundation had been destroyed, yet she was still standing. You can always rebuild, she said softly. He finally looked at her, his guard down for a moment. He saw not the instrument of his revenge, but a woman of quiet strength. A woman who understood the language of ruins. He reached out his fingers, gently tracing the line of her jaw. The touch was electric, a spark in the vast quiet house. It was a moment of connection that was not on the script. Anna didn't pull away, her breath catching in her throat. For the first time she saw the man, not the mission. She saw the fear behind his control, the loneliness in his empire. The sound of a security alert from his phone shattered the moment. He pulled his hand back as if burned. The mask of the CEO slipped back into place. What is it? She asked. Piotr is moving money, a lot of it to an untraceable account. He's getting nervous, cleaning house. That means we're running out of time. The intimacy was gone, replaced by the cold urgency of the plot. But the echo of that touch remained a ghost in the room. A fragile, dangerous flame had been lit in the cold house. It was a warmth neither of them had expected, and a complication they could not afford. Asterisk, asterisk. Forced farewell, asterisk, asterisk. A rumor began to circulate, a poison whispered in boardrooms. Michał Kowalski was losing his edge, becoming unstable. His new wife, they said, was a distraction, a weakness. Piotr was a master of perception, painting a target on Michał's back. He orchestrated a series of small, calculated failures. A key real estate deal collapsed at the last minute. A trusted analyst was caught leaking information to a competitor. Michał felt the walls of his own empire closing in. He worked later, the lines of stress deepening around his eyes. Anna found him one night asleep at his desk, a glass of whiskey untouched. A spreadsheet on his screen showed a sea of red numbers. She gently placed a blanket over his shoulders. His vulnerability was a physical ache in her own chest. This feeling, this strange, fierce protectiveness, was not part of the plan. Love was supposed to be a memory, not a present danger. Her investigation had led her to a name, Dawid. He was Piotr's personal driver, a man with gambling debts. A man who might be willing to talk for the right price. She arranged a meeting in a noisy cafe in the Ochota district. The smell of brewing coffee and wet wool filled the air. Dawid was nervous, his eyes darting towards the door. He told her about a private server hidden in an old factory. It was Piotr's real ledger, the heart of his dark network. Getting to it would be almost impossible. But Anna now had a target, a clear objective. She felt a surge of adrenaline, the thrill of the hunt. She returned to the mansion, ready to tell Mikhail. She found him in the living room, his face like stone. On the coffee table was a file open for her to see. It was a report from a private investigator. Photos of her meeting with Dawood, grainy but unmistakable. "Where were you today, Anna?" His voice was dangerously quiet, stripped of all warmth. "I was following a lead, I can explain." "Were you, or were you cutting a deal for yourself?" The accusation struck her like a physical blow. "Pyotr sent this to me, an anonymous tip. Said my wife was playing her own game, selling me out. How could you think that? After everything, how could you not trust me?" "Trust," he repeated the word, a bitter taste. "Trust is for fools and dead men. I brought you into my life, my home. I gave you my name, my protection, and you repay me by meeting secretly with his men." His pain was raw, a mirror of her own. Pyotr had found their weakest point, the fragile trust between them. He had driven a wedge of suspicion deep into their alliance. The late-night arguments they'd had were nothing like this. This was not about strategy. This was a tearing of the soul. "I am not betraying you, Mikhail." Her voice broke the mask of control, finally shattering. "I am trying to protect you." He laughed, a hollow, broken sound. "I don't need your protection." He walked to the door, his back rigid. "The car will take you to a hotel in the morning. Stay there until this is over. You're cutting me out. After all this, it's for your own safety," he said, not looking at her. The lie was so obvious it was an insult. He was cutting her out to protect himself from his own feelings. The door closed, the sound echoing through the silent house. It was a forced farewell, a brutal severing of their bond. The growing flame between them had been extinguished by doubt. Anna was alone again, left with the echo of his accusation, and the cold, hard certainty that she had to finish this herself. Asterisk, asterisk, echo of absence. Asterisk, asterisk. The hotel room was luxurious, anonymous, and cold. Its silence was a constant reminder of the empty mansion. Anna felt Pyotr's victory in every quiet, lonely hour. He had successfully isolated her, turning her greatest ally against her. The absence of Mikhail was a physical weight, a hollow ache. She missed his quiet presence in the library late at night. She missed the tension, the shared purpose, the unspoken connection. She realized with a terrifying clarity that she had fallen in love. Love was not a train ticket. It was a shattered compass. Her mission of revenge was now hopelessly entangled with this man. Meanwhile, Mikhail prowled his silent house like a caged wolf. Every room held her ghost, a memory of a shared glance. He saw the blanket she had left on his chair, a small act of care. His doubt gnawed at him, a poison in his gut. Had he been played, or had he thrown away his only chance? He pulled up the security footage from the day he threw her out. He watched her face as she left, not triumphant but utterly broken. The bigger picture became terrifyingly clear. This wasn't just about a company. It was about his soul. Pyotr wasn't just attacking his business. He was attacking his humanity. He was trying to turn Mikhail into a man who trusted no one. A man just like him. Anna knew she couldn't get to the server alone. She needed help, someone completely off Pyotr's radar. Her sister Katarzyna, studying computer science at university. She found her in her dorm room, surrounded by code and textbooks. The room smelled of instant noodles and youthful optimism. Katarzyna listened, her bright face growing serious. "You married him for this? To destroy this man? It's more complicated than that, Kasia." Her sister looked at her, her gaze wise beyond her years. "You love him, don't you?" The question was simple, direct, and devastating. Anna couldn't form a reply, only a slow, painful nod. Katarzyna sighed, pushing her laptop forward. "Okay, let's go ruin a monster." Mikhail, working on his own, focused on Pyotr's finances. He used his resources to track the money Pyotr had moved. He found a pattern, a series of payments to a shell corporation. The corporation was buying up medical patents, specifically experimental cancer treatments. A cold dread washed over him. He hacked into the corporation's files, his fingers flying across the keyboard. He found what he was looking for, a patient file. Pyotr Wojcik, diagnosed with terminal pancreatic cancer. 6 months to live, maybe less. This wasn't about greed anymore. It was about a legacy. Pyotr was trying to buy immortality, to cheat death itself. His desperation made him infinitely more dangerous. Katarzyna's hacking was brilliant, a digital dance. She bypassed the factory's security systems from her dorm room. She gave Anna a 15-minute window to get in and out. Now Anna stood outside the abandoned factory in Praga. The crunch of broken glass under her boots was the only sound. The air was thick with the smell of rust and decay. Her heart pounded a frantic rhythm against the silence. She was no longer just an instrument of revenge. She was fighting for the man she loved. She was fighting for the future she hadn't dared to imagine. The echo of his absence had become a call to action. She slipped through a broken window into the darkness. Asterisk, asterisk, final, overcoming, asterisk, asterisk. The server room was a steel cage in the heart of the factory. A cold blue light emanated from the humming machines. Anna's breath plumed in the frigid air. She inserted the drive Katarzyna had given her, the download beginning. A lifetime of data, a river of corruption flowing into her hand. Suddenly, the overhead lights flickered on, blinding her. Pyotr stood in the doorway, a gun in his hand. He didn't look like a tycoon. He looked like a ghost. His face was gaunt, his skin a pale, waxy yellow. "I knew you'd come," he rasped, his voice weak. "You have your father's stubbornness. He was a better man than you will ever be. Better, he was a fool who clung to a dying world. I built the future while he polished relics of the past." The download progress bar on her screen was agonizingly slow. 70%, 75. A car screeched to a halt outside the factory. Michał burst in his eyes, finding Anna, then Pyotr. "Don't do this, Pyotr, it's over. Over, it's only over when I say it is." He raised the gun, his hand trembling, not with fear but with rage. "You took everything from me, Michał. My company, my legacy. You built your legacy on the bones of good men." The download finished a soft chime in the tense room. Anna pulled the drive out, holding it up. "It's all here, Pyotr, everything." He laughed, a dry, rattling cough. "You think that matters now?" He aimed the gun not at Michał but at the servers. "If I can't have my future, I'll erase my past." Before he could fire, Anna threw a loose pipe from the floor. It struck his arm, the shot going wide, shattering a window. Michał tackled him, the gun skittering across the concrete. The fight was short, brutal, and pathetic. Pyotr was a dying man, his strength gone. He collapsed, weeping, a king on a throne of rubble. Police sirens wailed in the distance, growing closer. Michał went to Anna, pulling her into his arms. His embrace was fierce, desperate. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair. "I was a fool." She clung to him, the warmth of his body chasing away the chill. "I know," she said. "We both were." They stood there as the police swarmed the building. The flashing blue and red lights painted the scene in surreal color. It was the end of a war they had almost lost. Pyotr's arrest was quiet, the fight gone out of him. His empire collapsed, its secrets laid bare by the data on Anna's drive. The story of his illness came out, adding a layer of tragic humanity. He wasn't a monster, just a man terrified of being forgotten. The Wilanow mansion felt different when they returned. The silence was no longer empty but peaceful. They sat in the library, the first light of dawn painting the sky. The black ledger sat on the table, its purpose served. "So what now?" Anna asked, her voice soft. Michał took her hand, his thumb tracing circles on her skin. "Now we learn how to live without ghosts." The path forward was uncertain. A landscape they had to map together. Rebuilding trust would be a slow, painstaking process. Healing was not a destination but a journey. But for the first time they were facing the same direction. He leaned in his kiss, gentle, full of unspoken promises. It wasn't a kiss of passion but of profound, quiet relief. The sun rose over Warsaw, a city of survivors. It illuminated the glass towers and the old scarred brick of Praga. It shone on two people finally free from the past. Their own foundation, once shattered, was ready to be rebuilt. Stone by stone, word by word together.